Hello, and welcome to my final presentation on mass incarceration. First off, I want to thank Professor Cordova for the second chance to do this assignment. It really means a lot. This is a really great opportunity to have a very important discussion, particularly in this current climate of our country. So let's begin. Okay, so we're talking about mass incarceration, and it was my campaign was hashtag break the chains. So let's pull up. Okay, so today we're going to briefly do an introduction on mass incarceration, kind of like how that term came to be so popular. And we're also going to discuss a little bit about the history of incarceration rates, policies that may have led to the high number that they are right now. And then also, we're going to reflect on the current policies that are now trying to reverse that damage. And then we're going to end it with the rural aspects and some policy reforms that can better help that community. Okay, let's get going. It's widely known that the United States has the world's largest incarceration population. As of 2019, the number of Black men living behind bars in the US was more than 745,000, with the overall prison total at more than 2.3 million. For perspective, the US represents 4.3% of the global population, but its prison population accounts for 22%. This issue has given rise to the term mass incarceration. One common misconception is that mass incarceration is primarily a big city issue. And the truth is that smaller cities and towns um, now represent the highest incarceration rates in the country. So, how did we get here? A policy considered a cornerstone of US mass incarceration is the 1994 Violent Crime Control Act and Law Enforcement Act. However, a study conducted by the National Research Council found imprisonments began expanding in the early 1970s before increasing rapidly in the decades that followed. In the 1980s, US President Ronald Reagan's administration launched what became known as the War on Drugs. Within 8 years, the US prison population nearly doubled, rising from 329,000 to 627,000. But there's been a recent shift, policy shift over the last 10 years to address mass incarceration from both political parties. So here's just a few on the federal and state level that are trying to address mass incarceration. We have the 2010 Fair Sentencing Bill that reduced sentences for crack cocaine offenses. We have the 2016 Oklahoma House Bill 1269 that reclassified low-level felony drug and property crimes as misdemeanors. And then we have the 2019 Smarter Sentencing Act, which reduces certain mandatory drug sentences. The bill attempts to modernize federal drug sentencing policies. Here's a really good quote from Hillary Clinton. It's time to end the era of mass incarceration. We need a true national debate about how to reduce our prison population. I couldn't agree more. Rural aspects and conclusions. So prison populations have increased nearly 2,000 across nearly 2,000, 2,000 rural counties around the country, making rural incarceration a vital component in understanding mass incarceration. Vigorous reduction reforms and policies should be tailored and implemented for rural areas. And what kind of reforms do I mean? I believe, number one, we should eliminate or reduce prison for nonviolent criminals. Nonviolent crimes. We should, number two, then decrease minimum and maximum sentencing. Um, and then three, make the reforms retroactive. A lot of times, and I discussed this in my report, a lot of times the new policies that come out of Congress typically only address future crimes or future offenders. They don't honor or respect the people currently suffering in the current system. And that's unfortunate, and that needs to be addressed no matter what policy comes forward from what administration or what level of government. It has to address the people currently struggling within the system as it is. Okay, so that's my report, my final presentation on mass incarceration. It's been a great semester. I really enjoyed better understanding this topic. It's a very relevant and important one, and I look forward to keep learning more and keep being an advocate. Thank you.